Hey people, let me show how to make this dragon animation. We can delete everything, remove this and that, and open one more window, just to make the workflow easier. Start with a path, which we'll use to control the dragon movement. Press RZ90 and make sure you apply the rotation. Go to edit mode, enable normals so we can see the direction. We don't need these vertices, but we want to move these ones. Change here to top view, and move these ones here. And this one right there. Rename it. This will save us a lot of time down the road. To create a body, we can use cylinder, adjust the vertices to 6, change to nothing as we don't need top or bottom, rotate it 90 degrees on x-axis, and apply the rotation. Add the ray modifier, change the offset to y-axis, increase the count, and enable merge. Then add the curve modifier, select our path from here, change the form to y-axis, and if we grab the vertices in edit mode, we can see what we already created. Rename this object, and let's add a few more modifiers. Subdivision surface modifier with 2 levels. Decimate, reduce the ratio. Wireframe, increase the thickness. And disable thickness even. Subdiv one more time, and this will slow down the whole process. Let's hide this modifier from the view, and leave it visible only during the rendering, just to run the things faster. Hide the body base for now, and let's create a few spines. Add one more path, rotate it, apply the rotation, delete these vertices, then rotate it on x-axis. If we go now to object data properties, we can increase the depth, fill the gaps, and in edit mode we can scale down the depth of individual vertices with Alt S. Last, just change to profile from here. We have the spine and we can duplicate it using array modifier. Change the factor, but we forget to apply the second rotation, so let's do it now. Increase the count and add again the curve modifier. You know what we are doing here. Rotate it on y-axis, and if we unhide the body, we can adjust their position in edit mode. It's always good to rename the things in such a project. Later, we can just select what we need from here. Move all into a new collection. And let's see what we just created. Hide the collection, and let's move on with the head. Starting with a cube, go to edit mode, extrude this face, scale down a bit, change here to left view, adjust it, Move the face down a little bit, extrude one more time, and grab this edge on the y-axis. Same thing here, just extrude this face, scale down a bit. And when we have this, we can add subdivision modifier. Add bevel before this modifier, just because subdivision wants to smooth out everything. Adjust the amount, shade smooth, and we have the head base. We can add the eyes with UV sphere. We can always press I, X or Z twice to use the local orientation of object. Shade smooth, add mirror modifier, pick the head from here, and apply the modifier with Ctrl A. Rename this, rename that, and we can parent the eyes to the head. When you do so, make sure that the last selected object is the parent. We can add spines to the head. You already know the drill with a path. It's crazy how many things we can create just by using a single path. If you want to find out more about this technique, you can check my Deer composition tutorial, where we cover a bit more about the curves. Anyway, let's add again array, but instead of relative offset, this time we will use object offset. And for this, it's best if we create an empty. We can select it from the drop-down menu, or just use the eyedropper and pick it. If we rotate now the empty 30 degrees on y-axis, we can see what's happened with the spines. Change to front view here to see better what we're doing. All we need to do is to increase the count to 12 to make it full circle. Go to edit mode, grab all vertices on x-axis, rotate them on z-axis, unhide the head, and we can do whatever we want to adjust them the way we like. When you rotate, move, or duplicate them, make sure that you have selected both the spine and the empty. We can always have more or less spines. All we need to do is to change the empty rotation, then adjust the array count to have a full circle. That's what we have for now. Move these objects into a new collection. Parent the spines to the head, but make sure you selected the empties as well. Move a bit the head on y-axis, and let's continue. The last thing we can create are the legs. Add a plane, go to edit mode, press M, merge at center. Now we have single vertex. We can add skin modifier. We can change this view to wireframe. Add subdivision modifier and have some fun. We can use E to extrude, Ctrl A to scale, and just play till we get the shape we want. Check reference images as well, this helps a lot. This time we are not using curve modifier, but constraints instead. Add follow path from here. Select the first path that we created and add negative offset to move the legs on y-axis. Enable follow curve. Duplicate it, right mouse button to leave it on the same place, and offset a bit more. Rename the legs and move them to the body collection. Same constraint for the head, but we don't use any offset for now. It's good to save what we have. Add a camera, find some nice spot, snap it to the view, change the focal length to 35mm, change the top view here, hide some of the objects, and let's go to edit mode and adjust the curve the way we want it. We can add more edges with the right mouse button and subdivide. Alt S to scale the width. We can also twist by tilt the edges. Just have to spend some time here. Don't rush and don't expect to get the things from the first try. Experiment with different positions, have some fun, and at the end we have this or any other composition. It will be nice to see what you can come up with. If you came this far, it's time to make the animation. I will change to 240 frames to have 10-second animation, and if that's too fast, we can always adjust the speed later with timer mapping option. Go to Preferences, Animation tab, and we can see that here we are using Bezier, which is exactly what we need to slow down the dragon at the beginning and at the end of our animation. If you go to the first frame, Object Properties, and select the body base, we can press 2 times Y to follow the path on the local axis, and we can drag it here. We can see here that the location on the Y-axis changed, and we can just press I to insert a keyframe. Go then to the end of the animation, change to 0, and press again I to add another keyframe. That's how we create animation. Let's repeat the same process for the body spines. If we use the same numbers, they will stack together. For the head is different. We have to add the keyframes here. Go to the first frame, use the offset, check how much we need so they match, add another keyframe, and we have it. Simple as that. Same for the legs. We can copy the offset of the head, paste it here, and press I. That's all. Let's see what we have, and we can move on to the materials. Switch to material preview, add new material, and increase the metallic all the way up. Use this one for the other objects. Select all of them, Ctrl L, and choose Link Materials to copy the last selected object material. We can line up the eyes, separate them from here, change to emission, pick color, and increase the strength. What about the spines? Let's make them more interesting. If we want to add more colors to the shader, we have to convert them to mesh first, so each one of them to be separate object. But make sure that this is the last thing, because they will be very hard to edit after that. Go to edit mode, select everything, hit P and choose by loose parts, so now each one of them is separate object, and move them to any collection, while we still have them all selected. We have to add a few nodes here, so let's change to shader editor. Separate from the other objects, and link the selection. Make more space for the nodes, and press Shift A to add mix shader here. Emission, plug it there, pick color and increase the strength. Add color ramp, plug it to factor. Wave texture, right here. Press Ctrl T for the mapping and the texture coordinates. For this we need Node Wrangler. This add-on. Change to object, bring the bars closer. Actually, let's switch to constant and move this one a bit. And just tweak the scale and distortion of the wave texture to create this effect. To add more colors, we need color ramp. Grab this one, we already created, so why not? Change this one to whatever we like. Plug color to color. Change to constant and adjust the bars. The last thing is object info and use the random. It's all about the materials. If we want the same random effect with the spines, we have to convert them to mesh again. But remove the curve modifier first. So we have them like that. Convert now to mesh, then add back the curve modifier. Select all in edit mode, loose by parts, move to new collection, and just link the materials from this one. Tweak the eyes as well to have one blue and one green. Let's move on. Increase the passport of the camera to have better idea how will look the final thing. Go to render, render properties, enable these EV settings. We can change here to front, change the world color to black, and it's time for the lights. Add area light, move it on top, increase the power, the size as well. Our dragon is huge, so mind this when you're adjusting the light. Play with them, duplicate them several times. Find the right position, tweak the power, size, colors, until we have something we like. We can add volume as well. For this we have to go back to the shader editor, change to world from here, Shift A and add principal volume. Plug it right there and increase a lot the density. Change the color and got it. Let's check what we have. And it's time for the final details. Enable depth of field. Pick the focus object from here. Reduce the f-stop. What about the animation? We can choose where to be saved from here. Change to FFmpeg video. Go to encoding. Container to MPEG-4. Quality to perceptually lossless. And when we hit Ctrl F12, we will have ready animation. However, if we have many frames to render, we can always choose JPEG, render only these frames first, then come back, render these ones, and so on. Once we render all of them, just go to video editing, add your image sequence from here, adjust the animation settings, then Ctrl F12, and it will make the animation from the sequence in no time. It's good to check if you missed anything before the final render. Here we can fix this real quick. Just put below the curve to be the last modifier. We can also cut these frames. There is a fast way to check the animation before we render it. We can just hit viewport animation from here. The other thing to check is the speed of the animation in real time. For this we can switch to frame dropping from here. Make sure that you switch back after that. Hope this thing helps. We can always touch more things, but let's keep this video short. That was everything, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Stay inspired. I'll catch you on the next one.